It's the Hot Talk Morning Show with Dave Priest and Liz Calloway.
Hot Talk for North Myrtle Beach, Gallivants Ferry, Myrtle Beach, and the entire Grand Strand.
The Hot Talk Morning Show on WRNN.
Hot Talk 99.5, the Hot Talk Morning Show, along with Dave and Liz. Thanks for joining us here on this Friday morning. Coming to the Grand Strand this coming Sunday night, 6 o'clock at the Calvin Gilmore Theater, the Carolina Opry. It's going to be an evening with Garrison Keillor. And on the line with us right now, happy to welcome Garrison Keillor. Garrison, thanks for being on with us today.
The Grand Strand, you say?
That's what they call it. The Grand. I honestly don't know exactly where they got the name, but I guess it's 60 miles worth of beaches. So somebody sometime called it the Grand Strand, and it just stuck.
The Grand Strand. Wow, that really has a ring to it.
It really does.
We don't have anything like that up here. We would say it's not the end of the world, but you can see it from here.
Well, actually, you can see about the end of the world. When you go to the beach, you can't really see anything. I mean, it's kind of the same thing. For people who aren't familiar with you, Garrison Keillor is on more than 600 radio stations, has been doing the show A Prairie Home Companion for 40 years now. Garrison, when you started that in 1974, did you think that you would do anything for 40 years, let alone that show?
Dave, for people who are not familiar with me, I would just like to say that I'm 32 years old.
Okay.
I have drop-dead good looks, and I dance the tango with an abandon you would not expect from somebody who was brought up by fundamentalist Christian people.
Well, if you dance like that, we should see you on Dancing with the Stars one of these days. Is that something you've consider? No,
Dancing with the Stars is for people who are on the downside of their career, Dave. Don't do it. Don't do it. Stay away from that as long as possible. For people who do know me, I'm 72 years old, and I do a radio show called A Prairie Home Companion, which has been around since 1974. And it's a live musical variety comedy show on Saturdays, coast to coast, and over in Europe and Australia. And I do it myself with this voice that I'm using right now, talking into the telephone to you.
I saw you. I was doing my homework before I knew I was going to talk to you here, and I saw one review said that your voice, a breathy baritone that seems precision engineered to narrate a documentary about glaciers. Now, I don't know if that is I don't know if that's a compliment or not.
It's not how I see myself, Dave. I see myself as a man with a mission to talk to younger people, which most people are nowadays, younger, and to tell them that life is pretty good. Life is good. It could be a lot worse.
Now, Lake Wobegon, where you have the Prairie Home Companion set, you describe as a little town that time forgot. Now, you've been doing it for 40 years. Has Lake Wobegon grown up? Has it changed at all, or is it still forgotten in time?
It's been frozen. It's been frozen in time. And it's very much the same as I remember it, having grown up there in the late 1950s. So I'm still working off the hard drive here. I'm not an investigative reporter. So it's still a town that's made up half of German Catholics and half of Norwegian Lutherans, each of whom distrust the other and believe the worst about the other. But they get along in kind of an uneasy arrangements. Town of hardworking people with not many social skills, and so they tend to stay where they are put. These are not an outgoing, warm, hospitable, hugging, kissing sort of people. These are people who seldom make eye contact. I'm not making eye contact with you right now, in case you're curious.
Well, we could do the video phone, but time has kind of forgotten that area, so I don't know if we've got the video capabilities here.
I'm looking at my shoes as I am talking to you right now.
Well, that's the wonderful thing about radio. I could be wearing a sombrero right now or chaps. It doesn't make any difference. It's all kind of the same.
Anybody with the last name Priest, I find intimidating.
Oh, if anybody knows me, they know that might be as like as ironic of a last name as possible. So, that's nothing that you have to worry about.
Okay. Well, thanks for reassuring me.
Don't have to worry about confessing or anything like that. Now, you talked about the kids today, and in addition to doing your show, I was reading up here that you've got a daily program also called The Writer's Almanac. You've got several books, and also recently you've been involved with poetry. Now, as far as writing is concerned, between texting, email, and everything like that, do you think that writing is a skill that's becoming a lost art?
No, not at all. I think that younger people have vast literary ambition, and I love all of the shorthand that electronics have given us, but nonetheless, you do want to leave some record of your existence and what you saw and what you felt and what distinguishes you from other people, and you can only do that by writing. It's the only way. And so people who feel their life intensely and who see themselves as individuals, they are writers. They're automatically writers.
Well, maybe it's actually a little bit easier for people to write, even though they might be doing shorthand with text and emails. A lot of people are writing more, actually, than what they had been before because they have to write the text and emails to contact and blogs and things like that. So people have the ability to actually self-publish, so maybe there might be more writers today than there had been.
Yes, in that sense, yes, of course. People do a lot more writing just in the course of every day. But I'm talking about people sitting down with paper, sitting down with a computer and putting paragraphs together. And that's the only way that you will present the Dave Priest who we do not know, the secret Dave Priest.
It's the dark place, Garrison. I don't know if anybody wants to go there. We're talking with Garrison Keillor, going to be at the Carolina Opry, the Calvin Gilmore Theater, this coming Sunday night. It's a 6 o'clock show. Tickets available at 913-4000 if you'd like to go there. And the show is going to be followed by a book signing as well. Now, Garrison, I had a chance to see the movie when it came out, the Prairie Home Companion movie back in 2006. Woody Harrelson, Meryl Streep, Lindsay Lohan was in there, Lily Tomlin. Did you feel out of place with all these big stars? Because you've kind of kept behind the scenes all these years.
I did, of course, but when you get up close with them, you realize that that fame is not the thing about them, not the important thing. The important thing about them is that they're people of genuine talent, and they also are extremely sociable people. I never was around actors all that much, but if you meet Meryl Streep and you're both working on the same thing, you will feel comfortable with her within 2 minutes, and you'll feel like your college classmate. She's very funny and a woman with a big laugh. And Woody Harrelson, same way, is a very, very funny guy and a really sweet guy, no matter what sort of, rough characters he may play.
Were you surprised that they all could sing as well as they could?
Well, Altman chose them partly on that basis. Lily Tomlin cannot sing.
Okay.
And she would be the first one to tell you. But she faked it really, really well. Woody Harrelson was cast in part because he can play guitar,
right,
and so can John C. Reilly,
right,
and so they were the cowboy singers.
They did good. They played off each other very well.
They did. They were really good.
Now, in the movie, obviously it was written by you and, screenplay and all that stuff, but was there ever any thought, did Robert Altman ever come and say, Garrison, we're thinking of maybe recasting your part, having an actor come in here, or was it always going to be you to do this? Did you write this for yourself?
I was hoping he would do that, and it's just a question of who would play me.
Well, that was the other question.
It not be Clint Eastwood, but I could deal with that. I would much rather it be Leonardo DiCaprio.
Yes.
That wouldn't be up to me.
Now, you've got a cruise that's also going to be coming up here on, I saw March 14th through the 21st. What do you do on a cruise? Do you hang out at the tiki bar and let people buy you drinks? I mean, what is a Garrison Keillor cruise all about?
I don't drink anymore, so that would be wasted on me. But we have a lot of musicians from the show who are on, and we do shows every night. And there are naturalists who know everything about waterfowl and sea creatures and so forth. And then I mingle. These are all people who listen to the show, and they've never had a chance to talk to me before. They've been listening to me all these years, and they have a lot to tell me. And mainly what I do for the whole week is to listen to people tell me their stories.
We were talking with Garrison Keillor, again, going to be this coming Sunday night, 6 o'clock at the Calvin Gilmore Theater. Tickets at 913-4000 if you'd like to make your reservations for the show. Your one-man show, obviously, is different than the Prairie Home Companion. What is your one-man show like that they'll be seeing this Sunday night?
I get up there, just a microphone and a stool and myself, and I tell stories, many of which are true. And but I'd like to keep the audience guessing about which ones are and which ones are not. On the radio show, I do a story about Lake Wobegon every week. It's about 20 minutes long. And so this is a chance for me to be alone in front of an audience and to try to keep them fastened to their seats for about an hour and a half, about an hour and 45 minutes. This tests the bladders of older gentlemen in the audience. And when I see dark figures, crawling on hands and knees up the aisles, then I know it's time to wind it up.
It's kind of your wrap-up signal. I can understand that.
Yeah.
It's obviously a fantastic thing. As far as doing the show itself, where do you get the ideas to keep it going and keep it fresh after all this time?
They come from life, just everyday life, and that's the only place any writer gets his or her inspiration. You just get it by being quiet and invisible. I have the power to be invisible. If I were there in the room with you right now, you would not notice me. I would be watching your every move.
Garrison Keillor the ninja is what we have, is basically what it is. To blend in, to be seen but not seen. I understand.
Yes,
now, you
exactly.
mentioned storytellers. Storytelling is kind of almost a lost art. I mean, you used to see the movies about Mark Twain or whatever, and storytelling was something that people were wrapped in so much. But these days, is there anybody out there right now that you see as maybe carrying the torch, or somebody that you enjoy watching, whether they're in comedy or storytelling?
There are thousands of people out there. Mark Twain was just one guy who was, in the business, and he made a pretty good living going around and telling stories. But no, there are thousands of people. There's a wonderful program called The Moth, and it's on the radio, but it's also live in various big cities, and they have no end of people who want to get up and stand up in front of a crowd of strangers and tell a true story about yourself. They have uncovered this deep vein of talent. Maybe people don't get the chance in ordinary life. Maybe life has become so busy and fast moving, but those people are still out there, and they still have stories. I saw this wonderful storyteller in New York. Her name was Elna Baker, and she's a tall, lovely woman with blonde hair, and she just talks about what it was like for her, having grown up a devout Mormon, to move to New York City, and all of these strange dislocations in the city. And she was just funny as could be, and everything she said seemed to be utterly true. No, storytelling is everywhere. It's everywhere. You just need to find the occasion.
Garrison Keillor, looking forward to seeing you in town this coming Sunday night. You'll be leaving the snowy shores of Lake Wobegon, and hopefully we'll have a little sunshine for you, although there's some rain on Saturday. By Sunday, we should be okay, so hopefully it will be a little bit better when you're here for the show at 6 o'clock on Sunday night. Tickets are available for the Calvin Gilmore Theater, 913-4000. If you'd like to go online, you can, prairiehome.org or garrisonkeillor.com. We'll put links to that up on our Facebook page. Garrison Keillor, it's been a pleasure to talk to you, and looking forward to the show this coming Sunday night.
Thank you, Father Dave. Good to talk to you.
All right, Garrison Keillor, and if you want to check that out, again, tickets are still available at 913-4000.